You're watching Defense Dynamics and I'm Danveer Singh. Tonight, we bring to you a crucial story from India's military aviation front. Light helicopters race against time as India's Cheetah and Chetak fleet nears end of service. As we talk about the light helicopters, we'll showcase other tri-services military helicopters, the India's rotary wing power. We'll tell you about the Microjet engines powering the next generation military drones. The strategic blueprints go public. Chief of Defense Staff unveils cyber and amphibious warfare doctrines. What does that imply? And why did the Chief of Army Staff say strategic communication is key to national security? But before that, let's check the global defense headlines first. India plans to convert its aging Soviet-era T-72 tanks into unmanned robotic combat platforms to tackle growing drone and missile threats in high-risk zones. This move extends the tank's operational life and enhances battlefield safety, serving as a stopgap until future combat-ready vehicle arrives post-2030. DRDO is upgrading the smart anti-tank weapon SAW with satellite navigation technology for improved mid-course correction and strike accuracy. The enhancement boosts flexibility in complex missions and marks a major leap in India's precision strike capabilities. INS Himgiri, the third Nilgiri-class stealth frigate under Project 17 Alpha, has been delivered to the Indian Navy from GRSE. Equipped with BrahMos and Barak 8 missiles and advanced stealth features, the frigate enhances India's blue water naval power. The milestone reflects progress in indigenous warship design and supports the Atmanirbhar Bharat initiative. France has tested the Rafale F-4.3 standard in operational scenarios. Focusing on improved connectivity and advanced weapons, multiple defense agencies and companies including Dassault, Thales and MBDA were involved in this campaign. These trials paved the way for finalizing the F-4.3 configuration, shaping the Rafale's future capabilities. Turkey's solid Aero revealed Tally, a stealthy sea-skimming combat drone capable of evading radar and carrying sensors or weapons. Designed for maritime missions and harbor attacks, it features foldable wings for quick deployment. The production begins in 2026, with Turkish Navy deliveries expected in early 2027. The Indian Army and the Indian Air Force are moving to fast-track the purchase of 200 new light helicopters, a move driven by the rapidly aging Chetak and Cheetah fleets, which have been the backbone of high-altitude and utility operations for decades. India is set to replace two of its most familiar and oldest helicopters. The Defense Ministry has started the process to phase out Chetak and Cheetah, which have been flying since 1960s, and bring in 200 modern reconnaissance and surveillance helicopters. For decades, the single-engine Chetak and Cheetah have been the lifeline for troops in remote and high-altitude areas. But their design is 6 decades old. They lack modern avionics, safety systems, and modern glass cockpits. They have been involved in multiple fatal crashes over the years. For over 50 years, these light helicopters have ferried supplies, evacuated casualties, and carried out reconnaissance in world's toughest terrains. But age is catching up and the risks are mounting high.
The Defense Ministry's plan is to acquire 200 reconnaissance and surveillance helicopters, 120 for the Army and 80 for the Air Force. In fact, a request for information has already been issued for potential vendor lists as well as procurement.
Indian companies can bid on their own or tie up with foreign manufacturers. The new helicopters will be capable of operating day and night in all terrains from icy heights of Himalayas to forward border posts. Their mission will range from reconnaissance and special operations, transport to casualty evacuation, search and rescue, and even a scout role alongside attack helicopters. They will also assist civilian authorities in emergencies. This purchase is in addition to 187 light utility helicopters already on order from Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. The first replacement for Chetak and Cheetah are expected to start arriving in the year of 2027, but phasing them out completely could take well over a decade.
Defense officials say that the project is part of the modernization drive, which includes fighter jets, radars, and multi-role helicopters. It will also provide job opportunities in the aerospace sector if it concludes on time.
Many of these helicopters are over 4 decades old. Maintenance costs are rising, and safety concerns have intensified after a series of accidents in recent years. The government has issued a request for information to global manufacturers as a fast-track procurement measure. The deal requires transfer of technology to enable local production under Atmanirbhar Bharat. The requirement is of 200 units and the urgency is to replace the Chetak and Cheetah fleet. This move comes as the planned Indo-Russian acquisition of 200 Kamov Ka-226T helicopters remains stalled, reportedly over cost, localization and technical issues. For the Indian Army and the Indian Air Force, these helicopters are lifelines for troops in remote and high altitude areas. Any delay in replacement could impact operational readiness. Whether India opts for a Western platform or revives the Russian deal, the race is now against time. In the world's highest battlefields, every rotor counts. India's skies are guarded and supported not just by fighter jets, but also an extensive, diverse helicopter fleet. From the snowy heights of Himalayas to the vast blue waters of Indian Ocean, the Indian Armed Forces operate a formidable range of rotary wing aircrafts, each designed for specific mission and together forming a critical backbone of India's defense capability. For heavy and medium lift, the Mi-70 VS and the gigantic Mi-26, one of the largest helicopters in the world. They can carry troops, supplies and even vehicles into the toughest of the terrains. The HAS Dhruv serves as a versatile workhorse for transporting and casualty evacuation alongside utility roles. The CH-47 Chinook with its tandem rotors is lifeline for high altitude logistics in places like Ladakh and Arunachal Pradesh. In the attack role, the Mi-35 or the flying tank delivers heavy firepower, while the indigenous HAL's Rudra combines agility with advanced weapon systems. The HAL's Prachand or the light combat helicopter stands out for its ability to operate in extreme altitudes, providing close support in mountain warfare. The Indian Army Aviation Corps operates HAL Dhruv, Chetak and Cheetah helicopters for tactical mobility and reconnaissance. The Rudra serves in both attack and recon roles, while AH-64 Apache attack helicopters, though flown under the Indian Air Force, are also integrated for Army strike operations. And recently, the Apache helicopters are also being inducted into the Indian Army. The future holds the Indian Multi-Role Helicopter or IMRH, expected to significantly expand lift and combat capabilities. The Indian Navy's fleet include the Chetak for utility missions, Kamov Ka-28s for anti-submarine warfare, and Ka-31 for airborne early warning, extending the Navy's eyes far beyond the horizon. Future deck-based multi-role helicopter variant of the IMRH promises to boost carrier strike group capabilities. Indian Navy also operates the aging Sea King helicopters. The latest in the naval inventory is the MH-60R, which is a multi-role helicopter acquired from the United States, excelling in anti-submarine and anti-surface warfare, search and rescue, and more. From disaster relief to precision strikes, from high-altitude troop drops to deep-sea submarine hunts, India's helicopter fleet is more than just hardware. It's vital, adaptable, and ever-evolving force multiplier, ensuring whatever the mission is, the Indian Armed Forces can get you there, stay there, and win there. In a major boost for India's indigenous defense technology, the engineering giant Larsen and Toubro has teamed up with Aerospace startup Green Aero to co-develop micro turbojet engines. These compact yet powerful engines are designed to propel the next generation of military drones, giving India a sharper edge in unmanned warfare. Micro turbojet engines are small in size but deliver high thrust, make them ideal for powering the unmanned aerial vehicles, cruise missiles, and target drones. Their high power to weight ratio ensures better speed, altitude, and payload capacity.
This project brings together L&T's decades-old engineering experience in Green Aero's aerospace R&D. This blend of industrial muscle and startup agility will further expand the timeline.
Currently, India imports most high-performance microjet engines from abroad. Developing them domestically will reduce import costs, ensure supply security, and open export opportunities. For the military, these engines will power surveillance drones, loitering munitions, and armed UAVs, enhancing intelligence gathering and precision strike capability in contested airspace. For the military, these engines will power surveillance drones, loitering munitions, and armed UAVs, enhancing intelligence gathering and precision strike capability in contested aerospace. With partnerships like this, India is aiming not just to fly, but to lead the unmanned skies of tomorrow. For the first time in years, India's military leadership has made public two critical warfighting doctrines, one for cyberspace operations and another for amphibious warfare. These declassified documents reveal how India plans to defend its digital frontiers, secure its maritime approaches, and integrate tri-services capabilities for multi-domain conflicts of the 21st century. The release by the Chief of Defence Staff marks a deliberate shift towards transparency, aimed at reassuring allies, deterring adversaries, and informing the public of India's evolving war-fighting philosophy. While operational details remain classified, the doctrines outline strategic intent, force integration plans, and emerging threat responses. The Cyberspace Doctrine recognizes the virtual realm as a stand-alone battlefield, alongside land, sea, air, and the space. It calls for dedicated offensive cyber capabilities, real-time intrusions, detection, and cross-agency coordination to protect India's banking networks, energy grids, satellite links, and command systems from state-sponsored cyber attacks and disinformation campaigns. The doctrine also lays out a roadmap for digital deterrence, signaling to potential adversaries that any cyber strike will be met with a proportionate and potentially disabling response, including disruption of hostile command and control networks. The Amphibious Operation Doctrine details how India will deploy forces from sea to shore in both conflict and humanitarian missions. It stresses joint Army, Navy, Air Force operations, enabling rapid landings on hostile shores, securing island territories, and sustaining forces operating far away from the mainland. The doctrine highlights the Andaman and Nicobar Islands as a strategic hub for projecting influence deep into the Indo-Pacific region. Amphibious forces offer flexibility from disaster relief in Bay of Bengal to deterring hostile intrusions in the Indian Ocean's choke points. Together, these doctrines represent a shift towards multi-domain readiness, where battles are fought in interconnected theaters, cyber attacks could precede amphibious landings, and space-based surveillance could guide both. Together, these doctrines represent a shift towards multi-domain readiness, where battles are fought in interconnected theaters, cyber attacks could precede amphibious landings, and space-based surveillance could guide both. By placing these doctrines in public domain, India is sending a clear signal. It is prepared to fight and win in every arena of modern warfare, from digital shadows to high seas.
So narrative management system is something which we realize in a big way, because victory is in mind. It's always in mind. If you ask to a Pakistani whether you lost or won, you say, my chief has become field marshal, we must have won only, that's why he's become field marshal.
At a recent address at IIT Madras, Indian Army Chief General Upendra Dwivedi emphasized that wars today are fought as much in the information domain as on the battlefield. He said strategic communication is now a decisive tool of statecraft, influencing perceptions, policy, and even outcome of the conflicts.
The narrative management system, by getting the social kind of a sensitive index, then getting to use the Twitters and other handles from other places. So the strategic messaging which was there was very, very important. And that's why the first messaging we did, that okay, justice done, Op Sindoor, that hit the maximum, I am told, in the world today, the number of hits which received. So that was the strategic messaging by a simple message.
Indian Army Chief General Upendra Dwivedi noted that in the age of instant news and social media, controlling the narrative is as vital as controlling territory. Disinformation, psychological warfare, and targeted propaganda can shape public opinion and diplomatic positions long before a shot is fired. He stressed that the armed forces must integrate strategic communication to operational planning, ensuring accurate, timely, and credible information reaches the public while countering adversaries' narratives. This, he said, safeguards not only military objectives but also national unity and resilience. From battlefield to the boardrooms, the Army Chief's message was clear. In 21st century, strategic communication is no longer an option, it's a necessity.
Of course, we have lot many agencies, NTRO, ISRO, INT agencies, etc. And we realize that our platform which are common need to be much more empowered.
In the evolving battlefield of 21st century, the Indian Armed Forces are navigating a complex blend of old challenges and new realities. From modernizing aging helicopter fleets and boosting drone defenses post-Operation Sindoor to unlocking indigenous partnerships for critical technologies like micro-turbojet engines. The message is clear: self-reliance is not optional, it is existential. The Army Chief's recent emphasis on strategic communication underlines a truth we often overlook. Wars today are fought as much in the minds of people as in the skies, seas, and cyber domain. Doctrine release on cyberspace and amphibious operations are more than military paperwork. They are a declaration that India understands the multi-domain nature of future conflict. The road ahead will demand speed in procurement, boldness in indigenous innovation, and mastery over the narrative. Because in the war of tomorrow, controlling the story may well decide who controls the geopolitical grounds. With this, we come to the end of this episode of Defense Dynamics. Thank you for joining us, and do post your comments with hashtag #DD with See you next week decoding complex defense stories. Till then, goodbye and take care.